the October films, they're all at it. They're all at it.
Yeah.
And it was called out on air.
Before.
And they did nothing about it. I mean, this is, I think, just another hammer blow, is it not, to the reputation of this deeply corrupted organisation.
Oh, 100%. I mean, we know how corrupt the BBC are, and it's been apparent for years, and yet they hide behind their own media, and they put out all this propaganda, but again, nobody is held accountable, and they need to be held accountable, because everybody in there knows the correct news, but they're complicit in it. They know what's being doctored, and why isn't anybody held accountable? I'd like the BBC to be defunded. They are outdated. They are old news now.
They never get fucking. No one gets fucking held responsible.
Let anybody see the truth. We know that there's certain news channels that do feed out the truth, like GB News. We're not so sure about Talk TV now, but you know, BBC needs to be held accountable, and the news reporters need to be held accountable as well.
They don't tell the truth.
Incited violence. That could have been.
Well, they're a little bit better. They are a bit better. I mean, I think Tark still is a bit better, but for what they've done to Mike, I mean, they've just fucked themselves up, really, I think, because I don't, you know, it's not very good.
This is yet another example of where the BBC has failed.
I was going to say, that's not very good.
The sheer volume of incidents points to a deep-rooted problem of bias within BBC News and current affairs. There must be full accountability and appropriate consequences for what has occurred, and resignations are not enough. There must be full investigation. If Britain's national broadcaster cannot uphold its charter responsibilities and adhere to its own editorial standards, it risks losing the public trust on which its very existence depends. Well, I would argue he's not going far enough. It's gone. The public trust in this organisation has gone. When is our elite class going to wake up
and get us out of that?
That's all we need to understand, that the BBC has always been a propaganda arm.
Yes, always been propaganda, because you know why?
50 years ago,
because they're for the fucking Queen, they're our family.
We had nothing to compare it to, so therefore we thought we were always getting the truth in a bias, and production values were good, so it looked like this is the truth. But we compare it to other news agencies, your show, other people, and now we see the lies. The only way the BBC is going to get better is if we commercialise it. That's why the licence fee needs to go. I don't necessarily want the BBC to disappear. I want because some people enjoy the BBC. Fantastic, let's have a choice. But the people who enjoy it should pay for it. And then those editors and the programme makers have an incentive then to provide things the public wants. Because at the moment,
they're providing nothing that we want.
It's managers.
They're lying, mate. They don't even answer nobody back. They say it's for the public, we pay for it, and they don't even answer you back. They ignore you. And especially when it comes to grooming gangs, they're the ones that have scandaled it with Jimmy fucking Savile's case and a lot of it.
And let's keep sending these messages, and eventually the whole country will be able to be employed by the BBC because they'll be as good as me.
What I think really upsets me, though, is that
that's what I said about Mike. I think that he's going to become like yourself, Dan.
Deep state.
I think Mike could become very big.
It's actually being left to the Americans to call this out.
I think they could, what it is. That show could become very, very big.
Like, we've got to stop being afraid to actually call out what the British Fashion Corporation is doing. It shouldn't be a sacred cow, okay? This is an organisation, can I just remind everyone, that shielded the worst paedophile in British history in Jimmy Savile for decades, which allowed a celebrity paedophile ring to run
that's
for
something
decades.
I was going to say, well, that's what they did, BBC, and that was for the Queen and the Royal Family.
Journalism and Martin Bashir to the death
Queen and the
of
Royal
Princess
Family.
Diana. Like, this is actually not an organisation that we as Brits have to feel that we should be proud of because they make a few good TV shows. It's just mad to me. And finally, I was delighted to see my friend Bev Turner, who works for GBC, but she's now based in Washington, D.C., being given the opportunity to ask Trump's spokesperson, Caroline Levitt, about this. And Caroline Levitt actually talking in language which I feel I wish I saw from our politicians in this country when they're talking about the BBC. Watch this.
She called
So
Caroline.
the clock is ticking on the Friday deadline by which the BBC must retract and apologise for their malicious edits of the
That's better than it. I sometimes don't like her, and sometimes during the week I don't like her. She's a bit woke.
Yesterday described the
GB News,
organisation
I don't understand when she's in America doing it.
society and blamed the enemies of the BBC for this outcome. Also yesterday, a senior government minister launched a fierce defence of the channel
contracted by GB News in England,
saying that the broadcaster remains a light on the hill for people all over the world. So, does the President feel that the network is taking the situation seriously? Does he believe that they've shown sufficient regret? Does this strain the relationship between the President and the Prime Minister? And given that the organisation is publicly funded, is the President prepared to bankrupt the BBC in his pursuit of truth and justice?
Well, thank you, Bev. There's a lot of questions in one there. I will say, I know the President has a very good relationship with Prime Minister Starmer. You have been there, you've seen them in their interactions, you've questioned both leaders in your time joining us when we've gone to the United Kingdom a few different times now. However, he has always been very frank when he disagrees with leaders even whom he has a good relationship with. And the BBC, being a fair news organization, is definitely an outlet. I think these two leaders would disagree. The President has made it very clear that this is a leftist propaganda machine that is unfortunately subsidized by British taxpayers, and he thinks that's extremely unfortunate for the great people of the United Kingdom and Great Britain. And I think that the President was deeply concerned by the editing, the purposeful and dishonest editing of his speech that was so clearly fake news. And he rightfully dubbed that term many years ago, and this is a classic example of that.
To not cooperate, pay nothing.
Is that this type of fake news
I refuse because I'm a victim.
Every single day to Brits, okay, to
Brits,
and we're just meant to put up with it and just accept it. And they did this actually with Rupert Lowe, the leader of Restore Britain, after he asked a question in PMQs about the death penalty.
Yeah, which is
and
good.
he is rightly furious. Watch this.
I've already made a video on that.
Good afternoon, everybody.
About death penalty.
I'm basically doing
I've got you a good thing here.
Use
this, the assisted dying bill, mate. We need to use the assisted dying bill.
Backdrop, but the point of my
we need to find some sort of claw in there. There's something in there.
Question in Parliament earlier on, the Prime Minister's questions, which as usual, Keir Starmer failed to answer.
Yeah. He fails to answer that because he's a liar.
Misquote me in an appalling way. They posted and then deleted an incorrectitude.
Trying to make you seem out to be racist or something, mate.
The Panorama issue, where they effectively cut and spliced and completely misinformed the public as to what was said by one of our greatest allies, Donald Trump in the United States.
And they've done it
One
to
would
you,
think
and
that
God
some
knows how many other people they've done that
their
to.
recent faux pas
On
would be in
purpose
order.
as well.
But to now misquote me clearly, I think now demands a massive apology. It won't be the first one I've had from the BBC, but I'm expecting
and it won't be the
an
fucking
apology,
last,
and I'd like
bastard.
it as soon as possible. I'm sure everybody agrees, and if the death penalty referendum that I requested was put to the people, I have no doubt that
we will be signing it and saying yes.
They would vote in favour.
Yeah.
But in a democratic society, you have to be swayed by the majority, not the minority, which is what's currently happening.
Yeah, because they want the criminals that happen criminals.
And I thank Donald Trump for this. There has been a result in this case.
Good.
The British Passion Corporation has actually had to apologise and issue a public correction. So BBC Politics post 39 minutes ago. This post corrects an earlier post which incorrectly quoted Rupert Lowe. This correction supersedes a previous clarification. We apologise to Mr. Lowe for the error.
Not good enough.
And Rupert says, positive news, the BBC has finally made an apology for their disgracefully misleading coverage for my death penalty question yesterday. There is an important lesson here. Fight back against the woke establishment. Challenge over and over. Do not accept it. We can win. And Nick Buckley, certainly, I have fought the BBC time and again, including on dodgy reporting that they were intending to do about
always
me.
Dodgy.
But
sorry, I just had to pause it for a minute too because I needed the toilet. I thought quick.
death penalty referendum that I requested was put to the people, I have no doubt that rather like Brexit, they would vote in favour.
I would be voting for death penalty.
In a democratic society, you have to be swayed by the majority, not the minority.
I think we can go off the...
Thank you very much.
I think we can change the wording from the death penalty to the assisted dying bill.
In this case, the British Passion Corporation has actually had to apologise and issue a public correction. So BBC Politics post
that comes
39 minutes ago.
Things which
this post corrects an earlier post which incorrectly quoted Ruth above. This correction supersedes a previous clarification. We apologise to Mr. Lowe for the error. And Rupert says positive news the BBC has finally made an apology for the disgracefully misleading coverage from...
Because I just think that, I don't know what people are so worried about this death penalty for, because we're not... I don't know what they're talking about because they're not going back to the fucking Green Mile where we're seeing him fucking executed on a chair and fucking smoking alive or whatever. We're not going back to that type of execution of death penalty, are we? We're not going back to chopping people's heads off and that type of death penalty and gas chambers and for fuck knows what. We're not going back to them type of death penalty things. So what is all about? We're going to the death penalty is going to be like I'm going to say. I would class this death penalty under the assisted dying bill somewhere because I reckon there's something in that to do with mental health. There's something like that. It's got to be to obviously do with your mental health when you might have cancer or something, so your mental health's not good. Obviously, if you've got cancer, you don't feel good. You can't do a lot. Your energy, your hair, whatever. So your mental health is going to have an impact on. It's going to have an impact. Anything can have an impact on your mental health. I've got mental health issues, but it doesn't mean I need to be killing myself and using the assisted dying bill just yet, does it? Does not mean I need to use the assisted dying bill though, does it? What it means, the assisted dying bill, it's not just for people that have got cancer or long-term sickness. Yeah, it's for people that have got a long-term sickness. Yeah, well, like them people that are stabbing people. There is nothing else we can do for them. They can never be allowed out on the street ever again. I'm sorry, but no. No. And people that have stabbed someone and the person hasn't died, I'm sorry, but they'll be getting life in jail. Then people will be getting life in jail. The people that have raped somebody, but the person hasn't died, because we can only use the assisted dying bill, like the death penalty, what I'm going to say, if it's all been to court, like the Southport killing, it's all been proven, like the person on the train that did that to them people, it's all been proven. The person that did that girl, the young girl that stabbed this young girl, I don't know if that's been proven yet or not, who's did that or whatever. So unless it's been proven, and we mean completely proven that it was them, it was no one else, there is no doubts that there's no doubts from any of the jury that he didn't do it, or any public, or any whatever they're saying, there's no doubts that he did do it. Yeah, it's like the Southport came with, there is no doubts that he didn't do it, because they know he definitely did do it. So he should have been the first person to try the death penalty out. Well, the death penalty, what I call the assisted dying bill. And they rushed that through very quickly, didn't they? I mean, I thought things like that would take years. Public debates on that. And they didn't have proper public debates. They didn't get it. They just rushed it through. Now, what debating did they do? It wasn't enough. I would have thought that would have been like something that take a couple of years to debate on. About 5 years to 5 years of debating. Well, there might have been some debates on it, for a few years, like saying, but I just think it's been rushed through. And me personally, I don't think that some of that should be used, like the assisted dying bill should be used just for people who've got cancer. No. Well, I don't think so, because I'm not being funny yet, but if I'm going to die of cancer and a doctor says to me there's nothing they can do, then I'm not being funny, but I'm not going to kill myself. and say, oh, there's nothing the doctor could do, I'm going to die, I'm going to wither away. And that's it. You know. And then say, oh, put me assisted dying bill. Yeah. I'm not signing that. Even if I mean that, listen, I don't feel that good at them. I've not felt good for ages. I think I have got cancer, but even if I have, right, it doesn't mean that I'm going to drop dead straight away. I'm just gonna, well, if I'm going to be in the pain, then I'm going to buy cannabis. Because I tell you what, if you've got serious cancer pain, if you've got severe cancer, well, any type of cancer really, I'll tell you one thing. It's not a cure. It's not a cure for cancer. Well, it could be part of a cure. It could be used as part of a cure, to be honest with you. It could do. And you know, I don't 100% but I'm saying just to myself, it possibly could be a cure in some sort of ways. But even if it's not a cure, it's not a prevention, but it is a painkiller. It is a strong painkiller. It is a thing that will get you through your cancer pain. It will get you through every day of that. And that's cannabis. And you can get cannabis oils. You don't have to just smoke cannabis. You can have it in butter. You can have it in chocolate. You can have it in an oil. You can have it in cream. You can have it in all sorts of different things, cannabis. Yeah, you can smoke it as well. You know, if you it's like me, if I've got back cancer, then I'll smoke a fucking joint. If I've got cancer and want to die, then I might as well smoke a joint and have a drink of beer. Yeah, well, at least I'll be dying happy. Well, you see these people that have got these things, it's got these mental health issues and they're stabbing people and radicalising things and all of this, then surely we should be able to use the assisted dying bill for that. And we should be able to use that assisted dying bill to call that the death penalty. We call that the assisted dying bill, this part there that we could call the death penalty. Yep, for crime. Like a radicalised, serious, hardcore crime. Like that person that's done that to people on the train, that person that's done that to little girls, severe raping, like that little girl that died from 4 men doing all sorts to her. But I don't even want to really try and explain what they did to her, because my little girl's there. That's my little girl. That's me and my little girl, and I don't explain what 4 men did to a little girl. Good God. And they didn't even get adequate punishment. And it's not about colour and race and religion. It's about the adequate punishment. Because if they got adequate punishment for doing what they did to that little girl, nobody would be doing that again much. Well, people would think again, wouldn't they? Because they would have got if they got the death penalty, because they should have, because the little girl died, and what they did was horrendous. And to that little girl, that Muslim little girl, I mean, he should have got the death penalty for doing. They should have had the death penalty for doing that to that little girl. They should have. And they should have given the death penalty, which is the assisted dying bill. And I'm sick of this.
I also wanted to say a personal...
I am sick of this fucking country and the fucking lying bastards. Because all they fucking do is lie. And that's why the country will never get fixed.
His White House chief spokesperson, Caroline Leavitt, describing the organisation as, what were the exact words?
The fucking liars.
Should be, but don't forget, we're still not allowed to have that in certain circles.
Oh, right, sorry, I might have gone too far now.
But Nick, do you... awful things when you are cancelled, and of course you know what it's like to be cancelled, I know what it's like to be cancelled, is the fact that people who, or your colleagues, your friends...
Oh, I've gone past that, Anna.
Sacking of...
It was Donald Trump one now.
Means that if you are a white... you're allowed to have?
It should be, but don't forget, we're still not allowed to have that in certain circles. and obviously Talk TV is now one of those circles we're not allowed to have this conversation. Just because you work for an employer, all you're doing is selling so many hours a day to that person.
Selling your fucking soul to the bastards.
Actually, what also...
Oh yeah, we've gone past there, haven't we?
A fierce defence of the channel in the House of Commons.
Roughly about here somewhere.
With
the leader of Restore Britain, after he asked a question in PMQs about the death penalty,
I want to know about this.
and he is rightly furious. Watch this.
BBC.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm basically doing this broadcast from my cubbyhole of an office in Parliament, where we have a large amount of scaffolding, and so forgive the backdrop. But the point of my message is that I asked a perfectly reasonable question in Parliament earlier on at the Prime Minister's questions, which, as usual, Keir Starmer failed to answer. The BBC have managed to misquote me in an appalling way. They posted and then deleted an incorrectitude. One would think that after the debacle of the Panorama issue, where they effectively cut and spliced and completely misinformed the public as to what was said by one of our greatest allies, Donald Trump in the United States,
because they don't
one
want
would
to be
think that
accused
some
of being that
humility
themselves.
after their
They'll
recent
throw somebody else under the bus
faux pas would be in order. But to now misquote me clearly, I think now demands a massive apology. It won't be the first one I've had from the BBC, but I'm expecting an apology, and I'd like it as soon as possible. I'm sure everybody agrees, and if the death penalty referendum that I requested was put to the people, I have no doubt that rather like Brexit, they would vote in favour. But in a democratic society, you have to be swayed by the majority, not the minority, which is what's currently happening. Thank you very much.
Now, actually, and I thank Donald Trump for this, there has been a result in this case. The British Passion Corporation has actually had to apologise and issue a public correction. So, BBC Politics post 39 minutes ago. This post corrects an earlier post which incorrectly quoted Rupert Lowe. This correction supersedes a previous clarification. We apologise to Mr. Lowe for the error. And Rupert says positive news, the BBC has finally made an apology for their disgracefully misleading coverage for my death penalty question yesterday. There is an important lesson here. Fight back against the woke establishment. Challenge over and over. Do not accept it. We can win. And Nick Buckley, certainly, I have fought the BBC time and again, including on dodgy reporting that they were intending to do about me. But I hope that this public apology marks the start of an era where the BBC thought they could say anything about people on the right being over. And I think it's Donald Trump who's ended it. I really do.
Good. I'm not as optimistic as you. I think the BBC will carry on doing what the BBC
they'll carry on doing it like
mainly for this reason. And you can relate this to all our public institutions and organisations.
I just said what they're going to come back with.
In this country anymore.
Nothing works. They're all corrupted, mate.
To education, to the BBC.
See, to the education, to all of it.
I mean, some of it is
the
by
roads
design,
don't work, the bus don't work, the train don't work, the fucking...
It's because we don't recruit on merit anymore now. We recruit on box ticking. You're the type of... You've got the same views that we want in the BBC, so we'll recruit you.
Yeah.
You can't do the job. You're incompetent, you're stupid, but we'll give you the job because you've got the right views.
Yeah.
You take a box in the prison service because you're black, you're gay, you're this, you're that. Same with the police force, you're a woman, you're 4'2", but we'll employ you to tackle 6-foot men. Nothing works, and the BBC is one of the reasons why it's not working.
DCI,
because it's full of incompetence.
Totally. And we've had so many lies, by the way, not just from the BBC, but from other leftist outfits. Like, look at this. Politics Joe has also had to issue a correction, Sarah, to Rupert Lowe, writing, earlier today we published a clip of Rupert Lowe falsely claiming he called to introduce the death penalty for asylum seekers. We would like to clarify his calls for a referendum on the death penalty in cases of heinous crimes committed by foreign and domestic criminals. But as Rupert Lowe said, let's see if this gets as many views as the original post, and of course it won't.
No, it won't. And the thing is, it's that accountability again. And like Nick was just saying, DEI has gone mad. How is it that you can get your position because of a colour or your race or what your sexual orientation is? That's got nothing to do with how good you are at the job. And let's remember that the BBC, the judges, the police and Parliament are all
they're the ones that are
with one another, because at the end of the day, Keir Starmer also protected Jimmy Savile. So, you know, these people are, it's all of the left. The left are actually the racists, the fascists, the far right left thugs. Because they all feel that they can say whatever they want about anyone from the right and get away with it. And no one is ever held accountable. And this is why we do need to start calling them out. So, like how Donald Trump has done that, like how other people are, and then like me with the police.
I'm with it law when they need to leave Rupert Law and put Ben the Beef back on air.
We'll need to do that. We need to speak out.
And fucking GB
Good
News.
on you. Love to hear that, Sarah White. That was terrible what they did to you. And actually, what's so great about X is we're now allowed to have these conversations. I mean, on the death penalty, Rupert Lowe says, yes, if it were up to me, Axel Rudigerman would have received the death penalty. I don't see why evil should be kept living. I would vote yes in a referendum on the return of the death penalty, and I would hope he would be the first to receive it. Tristan Tate responding,
and I will as well.
I'm
on the right side of Rupert Lowe with a death penalty.
For scum like him, it would be fitting. And because we have free speech on X, we are allowed to have these types of conversations.
And I'm saying, yes, we should.
This is going to be a hard one. In so many ways.
Dying bill now.
But let me be very clear. John Cleese is a filthy scumbag. And I refuse anymore to ignore the revolting output of this deranged lunatic on the hard left because he was once a comedy icon. And I say this, by the way, as one of the biggest fans of Fawlty Towers. I say this as the guy that helped get Monty Python back together all of those years ago for that massive reunion tour when I was working at the Sun newspaper. And that was one of the great privileges of my career. And I say this as someone who was a colleague of John Cleese very briefly when he joined GB News and decided to sit down with me to reveal why. And I will come to that in just one moment. But this man is a filthy scumbag who has been completely captured now by the worst elements of the British hard left. Hacked off and byline times. And what he is proving, unfortunately, online is that this filthy scumbag will go so low in his attacks that he should no longer be considered a national treasure. And I've got the receipts, right? Even though he's deleted the post, over the weekend, he wrote touching ceremony at the tomb of the unknown loser. That was, of course, in regards to Donald Trump's visit for Remembrance Weekend. And as Paz49 said, slagging off the unknown soldier is a new low for John Cleese. But there's so much more. So much more. Like he's described Elon Musk as being on the spectrum. Prompting Zach Goldsmith to say, so sad to see John Cleese regurgitating nonsense fake news so regularly. It's so easy to check the stuff before posting. What on earth has happened to him? And what has happened, let me tell you, is he has been captured by these nutters on the hard left. Because that is exactly what the likes of Byline, Times and Hacked Off are. And it just doesn't end. And this is the problem, that it doesn't end because the more he goes down this rabbit hole, the more nasty he gets. Britain is broken posted, can I say as a Brit, we all reject John Cleese. He is a vile old man, concerned citizen. John Cleese is an awful human being. And how can you deny that? When he is reposting tweets like this about Erica Kirk, the wife of the late Charlie Kirk, saying happiest widow ever.
Bastard.
You should be ashamed
of himself.
John Cleese co-signing Erica Kirk allegedly applying fake tears theory sparked online outrage. Mr. Marleybone posted as a result, today I unfollowed one of my childhood heroes, John Cleese, who made me laugh and brought humour into my life. He has become a pathetic anti-Semite who is peddling lies about Jews in Israel on Twitter. How sad does he not have anything left
to do
in his life? And there was another retweet, by the way, in regards to Erica Kirk. Alex Gandler said, not sure what's happened to John Cleese, but best to stay away from whatever's in his drinking water. I'll remember him for the brilliant wit and timeless comedy and try to forget the conspiracy theory nonsense he's descending into. Enough said. Wrote, imagine being John Cleese reaching 86 years old. Behind you is a stunning comedy legacy, but now bored, sat in your red velvet slippers, finding the only affirmation in life is typing rage bait about Erica Kirk on your iPhone 7. And this decline and descent has been so recent, but I wanted to show you why there's this massive juxtaposition in terms of what John Cleese believes to be free speech. It's free speech for me, but not for thee. Because this is what he told me upon joining GB News when I was excited, because I presumed at that point, obviously I was very passionate about GB News, really believed that GB News was doing the right thing. And I believed that what this meant is that he truly believed in a lack of regulation and that he wanted there to be genuine free speech in the British media ecosystem. Watch.
Please, welcome to GB News. It feels great saying that. I'm very excited.
Well, I'm excited because I'm doing this show with you. I've been working with a couple of guys on it, and the whole idea of being able to create a show from scratch without anyone looking over our shoulders. I mean, I wouldn't get an offer like this anywhere else on the planet. It's extraordinary. I'm really looking forward to it because I think that there are so many cliches in ordinary television. It would be nice just to try and avoid those, just as a start. There's so much of this screaming at people. You see, I want to deal with a lot of the subjects that get people upset, but I want to get sensible people with a sense of humor who will listen to each other and who will trade arguments instead of simply making speeches.
Yes. And that's what we try and do on GB News.
Well, you didn't do that,
Always
though,
have
did
both
they?
sides of the argument, to have a respectful debate, but don't shut people down.
BBC.
So I thought that's what he believed in, right?
Well, he didn't.
But
He's a
then
liar.
John Cleese launched his GB News show calling for more regulation of the media. For a beefed up version of Ofcom.
As a knee-jerk reaction, support the Tories and a couple that supports the left. If we want more accurate and honest information, we have to regulate the newspapers that have basically become propaganda sheets. And the next step in doing that is to implement Leveson 2, so that when a newspaper prints something that's untrue, a regulatory body can order them to print a correction in the same size and the same prominence as the original untruth. We need a system more like Ofcom for the printed press. Now, the press will say this inhibits their freedom, and they're right, but only a little bit. It will inhibit their freedom to tell any lies they like.
Bullshit, Cleese, because you're the liar. Okay? You want free speech for me, but not for thee. And I'd had enough of this. So I decided I had to speak out. And John Cleese posted when Dan Wootton said free press, he meant a press that's free to do whatever it wants, untrammeled by rules or standards or any kind of moral restraint. When I was then effectively sacked from GB News in a free speech row, John Cleese bottled talking about it publicly. Right, and I was looking forward to the interview arranged with the lovely Zoe Ball tomorrow, but it has been cancelled from on high, as it would not be appropriate for me to talk about a GB News programme or the Wootton and Fox firings were in the news. And then, when his mates at Byline Times told a whole load of provable lies about me, John Cleese joined a pile-on urging the mainstream press to investigate allegations against his future GB News colleague, Dan Wootton. So yeah, I do have some personal skin in the game here, but as I say, to me, John Cleese was a hero, an absolute comedy legend. And I think it was this moment when I realised, no, this guy is so far gone. Cleese posted on X 5 ways that Hitler was preferable to Trump.
Yeah.
1, he fought for his country. 2, he never used a teleprompter. 3, he was nice to dogs. 4, he wrote his own books. 5, he never played golf. 6, he wasn't a big fat slob. 5 ways Trump is preferable to Hitler. 1, he doesn't practice genocide. 2, he has nice hair. 3, 4, and 5 left blank. I repeat, John Cleese is a filthy scumbag.
Yeah.
Joining me now, my superstar panel, Nick
Like the rest
Buckley,
of them,
NDE,
mate, we're in
and
it
Sarah
together.
White. Nick, the whole thing is, right, John Cleese can say whatever he wants.
Fucking pedo. He looks like
I believe that. You know, I'm a free speech absolutist, so I'm not suggesting he should be shut down in any way.
Yeah.
But isn't there a huge irony here that he spreads conspiracy theories, that he spreads lies, he spreads disinformation? I can say that from my personal perspective, yet his biggest campaign is trying to shut down free speech on the right. But above all of that, Nick, isn't he also just proving himself to be deeply nasty and hugely unpleasant?
I'm actually surprised at some of the tweets you just shown. I saw the one about the tomb of the unknown soldier, and I read that and thought, oh, that. Do you know what? He made a mistake there. He's trying to be funny. He's trying to be edgy, and I put that down to that. But seeing the ones about the widow of Charlie Kirk, they're horrendous. And retweeting that and he did it more than once. That's horrendous. I think it goes back to never ever meet your heroes, because they never live up to what you've built them up in your mind. He's a comic genius. He has been for decades and decades. From all this stuff, I've loved all this stuff. But, I mean, we also need to, and I don't mean this in a negative way, I'm not trying to insult the man, but he's 86 now. So we need to think about, is he losing part of his mental capacity? Because some of this is absolutely horrendous. I don't know, but he's ruining his reputation.
Yeah, he really is, isn't he, Sarah White? I mean, what do you make of the downfall of John Cleese?
Well, I find it quite ironic that the jokes and the comedy that he used to be part of would be something that he would obviously stand against now. So is he doing what he's doing to be fashionable and trying to join the left and the woke mind media because he feels that they're the majority? And to say that Hitler, because he was nice to dogs, over somebody who didn't kill millions and millions of Jews, because, you know, Hitler was nice to dogs, Trump hasn't killed any Jews, there's now Hitler's better than Trump, that's irrelevant. Like, Hitler was one of the worst people to ever walk this planet, and John Cleese is obviously a supporter of Hitler. We know that he's anti-Semitic, so with all of his posts that he posts regularly, and I just think, yeah, maybe he needs his meds checked, because at the end of the day, he's spreading misinformation, and the problem is people who follow him will start to believe what he's saying, and this is the problem again with like the BBC. People watch this and it's propaganda, and some people will believe him. The likes of us will be like, this man is totally deranged, we don't know what he's on, he's definitely woke, and he needs to be shut down.
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting, isn't it? Because sometimes it's really amazing when your heroes get a platform, right? So I think of Ricky Gervais and all of the incredible stuff that he now posts on X, and the fact that he feels untethered, or someone like J.K. Rowling, actually, who has obviously, or Graham Linehan, you know, so there are loads of examples, I guess. But I think that is, in a way, the great thing about social media. You can't hide who you really are. We've seen who John Cleese really is. Doesn't take away from the absolute brilliance of Fawlty Towers and Monty Python, and it never will. And obviously that will be a huge part of his epitaph. But in terms of what type of dude he's like, I'm going to repeat, filthy scumbag. But thank you so much to my fabulous superstar panel today. Anything other than filthy Sarah White, who is, of course, one of the incredible Epping Pink Lady campaigners. And Sarah, you've got more coming, right?
Oh, we've got loads coming up. So on the 22nd of November, we're going to be at Chelmsford from 12 till 3. We're getting loads of pink ladies from all over the place, ferrying them all in to go and support the lovely women of Chelmsford, and that so anybody who wants to come along and support, it's a movement led by women, supported by men, so we embrace everybody, and it's basically about standing up for what's right and having it that women and children and everybody feels safe in their local community, because that's a fundamental right of this country. We have evolved and developed over centuries to get the morals and the beliefs that we strive for in a Christian country. Whether you're a person of faith or just a good, upstanding Christian person, that is what we need. And we need the root core to come back to being a fundamental Christian country.
Absolutely. Well, indeed, that fits very nicely with me just reminding you all about Nick Buckley's brilliant book as well. Anglophobia is the name, and it is available on Amazon, isn't it, Nick?
Yes.
It's such an important book.
It's all about looking at why the English hate it, but more than that, why are we living in an age now where white people are hated? Why is anything white deemed negative? Part of it is jealousy and envy, but part of it, especially for English people and white people who tend to hate themselves and hate their culture and hate their country, investigate the mental health issues that are part of the problem and why they hate everything we've given the world.
It's an amazing book. It is available on Amazon. Thank you so much to my superstar panel today, Nick Buckley and Sarah White. We're going to reveal today's greatest British Union jackass literally in 30 seconds. And I've got to get to some of your feedback. Minty the Moose says, Islamists have more of a foothold on Britain and Europe. Some of us have been screaming about this for over 20 years or more on here, and good on you for doing so. Timo says, Starmer built his career on defending terrorist human rights. He literally wrote the book on it. Juliet Johnson says, if Shamima Begum returns, Corbyn's party will probably help her run for a seat in Parliament. Nothing in today's Britain surprises me. And on the Mike Graham story, Jenny Chilton says, Russell has, and speaking of Russell Kirk, has shown up the likes of Kevin O'Sullivan and Jeremy Kyle, who claim to be Mike's friends. Okay, a reminder of who's up for Union Jackass today. Tony Blair, nominated by Matt Cass 48, who says the death of the UK started with this man. Anas Sawa, nominated by Darren Donaldson for his angry style, and Ed Davey, nominated by Jane Kendrick for calling for the sacking of Robbie Gibb at the British Bashing Corporation. And of course, he just blames it all on GB News, as he always does. Okay, here are the results. In third place with 24%, Anas Sawa. The runner-up with 30%, Ed Davey. But today's Union Jackass with 46% of the vote, the former Prime Minister, Tony Blair. So, because it is a Thursday, we are putting our 4 Union Jackass winners from across the week head-to-head to find out the worst Britain in the world this week. You can vote right after the show on the posts section of my YouTube channel, Dan Wootton Outspoken, but I'm just going to remind you of who is going to be going head-to-head with Tony Blair to win this infamous gong. From Monday, it was Adil Ray for supporting Sharia law. From Tuesday, Tim Davey for his appalling behaviour at the British Bashing Corporation. And yesterday, the tit whisperer, Zach Polanski. So they'll all be going head-to-head in the post tab on YouTube. But our greatest Britain today is Alison Pearson, superstar columnist and one of the true patriots who remains in the British mainstream media, nominated by Lee Cohen, who says, like Dan, every day she exposes the truth and shapes Britain's most important public debate when the MSM won't. Okay, we're moving over to Substack now. Lady Colin Campbell is joining us from her hospital bed. My God, this woman is a trooper. But there's so much royal news to discuss. I do hope you'll join us over on Substack. www.outspoken.live is the address. We'll be back with you tomorrow, 5 p.m. UK time, midday Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. Hit subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. Make sure that you subscribe to our podcast as well on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Please rate and review. And most importantly, I promise to keep fighting for you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dan Watts, for that one. Bye-bye from Caroline Poynton.